Something big is happening with Ripple and XRP, and the fight is starting to get really ugly. That's how you know it's for real. The National Community Reinvestment Coalition, wait till you see what they have to say about Ripple. This is wild. And they're trying to pull every string they can to block Ripple's National Trust Bank Charter. A move that, if successful, this is going to redefine the entire financial system. Now, they are hiding behind the regular "we need to protect consumers" line, but we know the truth that really what they are doing is they are trying to protect their own power, the bankers' power. Meanwhile, Gemini, they just launched a new credit card and it pays its rewards in XRP. We saw whales quietly scooping up $750 million in XRP. XRP ETFs are gaining even more momentum, and at Wall Street, they're starting to circle like a bunch of sharks. That's just the beginning. We saw a massive dump of Bitcoin from a whale, $2.7 billion that shook the entire market. MicroStrategies is continuing to double down with billions more, and corporations, they're suddenly racing towards Solana. Pretty interesting. We'll look at it. And then there's whispers of a secret project involving digital identity, tokenized assets, and XRP. Pretty interesting as well here. Let's take a look at all of this. I want to start with this. I had reported on this previously, but I actually read the report, and it's shocking. Ripple versus NCRC, the battle for financial control. They are calling Ripple unfit, but it goes beyond that. I'll link the report down below. You can read it. But the things they said, well, Ripple has a history of serious violations, making them unfit to be a fiduciary. Like, they had this silly squabble over, gray areas of law. Wasn't criminal in any way. Ripple won on most of their arguments. We have Ripple's backed stablecoin would drain funds from local communities. This kind of stuff is going to help community banks and the underbanked and the underserved. It's going to be good for them. The NCRC, they don't care about the little guy. I can tell you that for sure. They're worried about the big conglomerates here. Consumers could be misled thinking deposits are FDIC insured, and chartering Ripple could increase, fraud, crime, and systematic risk. All their normal stuff they pull out of the bag here. But what's their real motives here? They're to protect the big banks, your JP Morgans, your HSBCs, those ones that bleed everyone dry for fees, that do not want to upgrade to a new system because it's not to their advantage. That's why you see them jumping in here. I'll link it down below. Check it out. It is a shocking filing by the NCRC. I would like to see who exactly is behind them and funding their operations, because I can tell you it ain't small communities, it ain't community banks, it ain't the little guy, definitely, that is funding this propaganda in this little puppet here. Now, big day for XRP, and I'll tell you, we have this credit card here. It pays 4% back on fuel and EV charging and ride sharing, 3% on dining, 2% on groceries, 1% on everything else. Is this a great card? Well, for some categories, I guess. For fuel and EV charging, sounds pretty good. 3% in dining is not bad, but you get your rewards back in XRP. But why this excites me is every time you see something like this, it's always Bitcoin, or you have, Coinbase, where everything's centered around Ethereum. It's never XRP. I think Gemini is going to have a lot of success with this card. And then you're going to have other exchanges that look at this, and they're going to have to do things, promotions with XRP, and cater to the XRP community. Instead of attacking us, instead of delisting us, they are going to have to cater to us. And this brings us on more of an even playing field. And you are going to see, when we're not fighting an uphill battle all the time, man, it's going to be explosive. While this card is not some massive game changer, it's actually an indicator of really good things to come in the future, when finally the system will have to start catering to us, the XRP investor and user here. Now, we see a lot of whale activity here. 758 million XRP accumulated in 8 days. So as we have retail keeps panicking over stuff, lots of sale volume, whales are just accumulating it quickly. 3.3% holding increase, growth from institutional XRP holdings during this period. 470 million institutional movement, value of XRP moving between institutions in late August. They know where we're going. They know what the future holds, and it's big gains for XRP. You best believe it. They're not concerned with this nonsense here. Now, XRP ETF Momentum is building. We see Grayscale, Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, and 4 other major firms. In unison, they all upgraded their reports. That means the SEC is working with them. They're working towards an approval. If they're not going to approve you, they don't look to work with you here. Now, the significance, Bloomberg Intelligence reports this wave of amendments signals the SEC is actively engaging with issuers. Analysts give XRP ETF up to an 85% chance of approval within the next 12 months. And I'm telling you, I think it's going to happen this year and probably in October, just a matter of time. But we are building momentum towards that. And that's going to allow billions of dollars to flow into this ecosystem. Bitcoin whale. This one whale that had been sitting on Bitcoin for a long time dumped 24,000 Bitcoins for a value of $2.7 billion in only 10 minutes, a 10-minute time frame. So if you saw over the weekend, it seemed like the market kind of catered. That's what was going on here. They sold very quickly, but the good thing is crypto has grown to the spot where there's actually enough volume to absorb that, and that part is very bullish, to be honest with you. Then we had MicroStrategies. I like the fact that he is involved in crypto and brings corporates to this space, but we see he's slowing down a little bit. He bought 3,000 Bitcoins. His average price of these new buys is 115,000. I think his new average cost of all his Bitcoins is about 75,000. He's going to keep buying it up. And my problem is it's all fueled by debt, and he has no underlying business that's capable of servicing that debt. But either way, he's going to go to the very end, just buying all the way up. And he has to, because his stock's selling at a premium under the idea that he's going to keep acquiring more and more Bitcoin. I guess he could luck box, and maybe this thing just really takes off, but probably not. I think he's gonna get run into a buzzsaw here, and it's gonna be an FTX style problem for this industry. Unfortunately, the actual average for his Bitcoins is $73,527,000. That is alarming to me, at least. So we have really two reports here. The first is about Solana Treasury raise. Sharp Technology, some publicly traded company, plans to raise $400 million to become the largest Sol treasury. Meanwhile, Galaxy Digital, Jump Trading, and Multicoin are seeking $1 billion for another massive Solana reserve. It's the MicroStrategy effect. Of course, everyone has seen the success MicroStrategies has had, and they want to, duplicate that over on other chains. And again, you have these companies that are going the Solana route. Of course, you have Ethereum with Tom Lee. We see Vivo Power with XRP. You're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff go around. And I don't mind holding crypto assets on your treasury. My point is, you should have an underlying business and probably be better off if you don't use debt to acquire very volatile assets. Now, this is interesting. It's from Coin Bureau, and he reports that Ripple, a Swiss bank, and a U.S. blockchain firm are allegedly developing a digital network merging identity, compliance, and tokenized assets where XRP is the bridge currency. He also tacked on there, JP Morgan has already called digital ID the foundation of Web3. A couple of things. If this is happening, it sounds to me like the EVM sidechain, right? That's what you have, the separate network. XRP is kind of the bridge currency. It's also the gas token on the EVM sidechain. Further than that, though, it is a little suspicious because I've heard Brad talk about digital identities. And the problems with that, it's a great idea at scale, but the problem is the cost of being wrong is so big that a lot of times, no matter who you are, if someone else has checked that identity, the next firm isn't going to go off of that. They want to check it themselves because, the KYC, AML requirements and the punishment for being wrong on that stuff is so severe, everyone individually wants to check it. How do you standardize that stuff? You almost would have to have a government mandate where the government says, all right, Ripple, you're going to handle this. In that case, yeah, they probably could do it. Outside of that, I'm not sure. So I don't know what to think of this report, but, it's believable. It's areas that Ripple's really involved in. We know they're getting that permission DEX ready to go so people can use this for things like RWA trades. You have to be careful who you let in those systems. That's why we see that new update coming. I mean, it's possible. I just don't know what to think of this report by Coin Bureau. We will see, though. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.